I'm Yu-Gi-Leoh and welcome back to my channel. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that holiday cheer stuff. And there's more to cheer about because it took a while for me to recover from the deep Yu-Gi-Oh depression I was in when the ban list dropped and they gave us nothing back. Not even double Iris to 3, which is what I thought the bare minimum was going to be. Never mind getting Electromite or Skullcrobat Joker or Monkey Board back. We got nothing. And I thought we were doomed. Vanity's Ruler has come in. They got rid of Destruction Sword, left VFD, and then Vanity's Ruler comes in. I really don't understand why people enjoy playing these cards. They're super boring and not interactive. They don't take skill to use. Don't even try and tell me that it does. And it made this format extremely oppressive, like more oppressive than the last format if you want to play Pendulum Magician. But once I started playing and I started cooking, I started figuring it out, and I'm really enjoying playing the deck. It doesn't have... I would say it has an 80 to 90% like chance of winning any match, so it's not terrible. I went 9 out of 10 on my last Dueling Book trial run. Unfortunately, that's all I have to test my deck right now. So let's get into the profile, and if you like it, like, subscribe, comment, check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel that way. And one more time, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, stay safe, and let's get into the deck profile. Okay guys, first up, the three brothers, Black Fang Magician, Double Iris Magician, and Purple Poison Magician. So you guys are familiar with Double Iris Magician, fresh off the ban list. I actually expected this to go to 3 on this list, maybe next list, but nope, they wanted to screw us over. We didn't get anything, not even Double Iris to 3. That was bare minimum what I thought was going to happen. But it did not. Now these two guys serve a more important purpose in this format, because these are going to be the cards that help you get over the Vanity's Fiend, which is going to be a problem in the top decks. You'll either cut its attack points down and make it more manageable to get over, or boost the monster's attack, your normal summon, boost its attack points up, or the pop to take care of it. One of those 3 options are your best bet, most likely. There is one more in the deck that we'll get to, but yeah. It's very difficult. If they have the Herald of Perfection or whatever the hell it is that gives them essentially infinite negates, you're probably going to lose, but like at that point it doesn't matter what deck you're playing, you're probably going to lose. Infinite negates and can't special summon, like what are you supposed to do? 3 copies of Harmonizing Magician, the sister. So when you Pendulum summon her, she special summons out another magician. She's the most powerful tuner in the deck. She's one of the most powerful tuners in the game. She's definitely one of the best magicians in the whole game. Probably the best, actually. She's a 1-card access code if you need it. But essentially you're going into Boral Sword or your Tornado Dragon. Now these two are a little controversial, I know, but I'm going to explain why I use them. So Dragon Pit Magician, especially now that we've come into a more controlled based format, you really are going to need this to get out of continuous trap cards and pop problematic spells and traps that you need to get rid of. Now Dragon Pulse Magician, I was trying it out and I really liked it because A, nobody sees it coming, and I once set up both of these. I went into Wisdom Eyes, set up both, discarded Dark Worm to activate the Dragon Pulse and to pop the Vanity's Ruler. So it is quite handy. Now going first, you might side it out, I don't know, but I leave it in there just in case. So that's another way to get rid of Vanity's Ruler. 3 copies of Wisdom Eye Magician. These are because Ash is so prominent in the format along with Droll and Lockbird. So if you get these in your scales, you can't be Drolled and they can't Ash it either. Because it doesn't add to hand, it goes straight to the field and into the Pendulum zone, so you're safe. I highly recommend using them in any Pendulum build, Pendulum Magician build. I don't understand the people who don't use them. It does not conflict with Pendulum Call. You just use one or the other. It's that simple. But trust me, in a format where Droll is running around constantly You want as many options as possible to set your scales, and we'll talk about that when we get into Darkworm. 2 copies of Oath Dragon Magician just in case you banish one. You always want this as your low scale whenever possible because of the recursion. It's essentially a +1 every turn. It's very, very good. It's also, if you pendulum summon out, you can return a magician or a pendulum card, even a Revolution Dragon or something, from your graveyard. That's rarely comes up, but you know, it's nice when it does. 1 copy of Time Gazer Magician, strictly because of Chronograph Sorcerer being able to special summon it out. This is just another way to get a body on board so you can go into your Link 2s before your pendulum summon. And sometimes if you use the Wisdom Eye Magician and then special summon out the Chronograph, if you have the tuner in hand, boom, you haven't even normal summoned and you've gone into your Hulk. Yeah, it's a great card in this version of the deck. 3 copies of Odd Eye's Revolution Dragon to search out your Darkworm because you want the Exodia hand whenever possible. That being Darkworm Pendulum Call. It's so good, assuming it resolves. It's also tremendous Ash bait. The amount of people who have hit this is just ridiculous. And when you do activate the Pendulum Call and they use Droll and Lockbird on you, and you've sent the Darkworm, at least you get to add those magicians. It's very important to remember that. For Droll, I don't know if I said Ash, but definitely you do for Droll, you don't for Ash. Don't get that confused. 3 copies of Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. So I love this card because of the special summon from Grave effect, but Dylan loves this card, Quasar Man loves this card because of its scale effect, which I have never used, and I didn't even know it could do it until he showed me. So we both love this card for completely different reasons, and we don't use it for each other's reason. 1 copy of Gate 0 to either be set in scale from the Darkworm scale effect, or searched out from the special summon. 2 copies of Tuning Magician, again, just in case you banish one, you want a second one. Always want to have your bases covered. This is for your Hulk plays. You're not going to really use it too much for synchroing anymore. It's just for climbing. 1 copy of Artifact Scythe for your extra deck lock. 3 copies of Duelist Alliance to search out your Pendulum Call, your Star Pendulum Graph, your Time Pendulum Graph, or your Double Iris Magician, although I have never used it to look for Double Iris Magician. I don't think anybody should. If you do that, you should already have all 3 of the other cards in your hand. 3 copies of Pendulum Call, the most powerful card in the deck. It is amazing. It is one of the most well-designed cards in the game. It's very fair. It really hurts when it gets hit by Ash. But yeah, this is your power play. It is fantastic. It searches out any 2 magicians at the cost of discarding a card. Ideally, you want to discard the Darkworm. 3 copies of Pot of Desires because it says draw 2. And if you get drolled, you want to be able to draw 2. That's why you won't see Allure in here, because it's a +0. Desires is a +1, so it's a little more worth it. Star Pendulum Graph for constant recursion. Getting it on board is just phenomenal. 1 copy of Instant Fusion and 1 copy of Called by the Grave, because Called by the Grave is limited for absolutely no reason, no real reason anyway. To protect you from hand traps. And then the 40th card is the Time Pendulum Graph. This card is phenomenal when combined with Pendulum Call. You activate it, it targets one of your Pendulum monsters, usually your Scale that's protected by Pendulum Call. You destroy a card your opponent controls. Then, because 2 cards were not destroyed, because your card is protected by Pendulum Call, you send another card to the graveyard. That's not destroyed, that's not targeting, that sends to the graveyard. It's a very powerful form of removal. Now we're going to go into the extra deck. First up, Christian Halki Fibrax. I know no one likes this card. It is not as important to the deck because you have 2 other Link 2s, but it'll help you climb into your Appaloosa, and you go into this, you summon out the tuning, you don't go into Selene right away, you actually go into your next Link 2, Dagda, then special summon back the Tuning Magician, which will trigger the Dagda, and you'll get your Scythe, then go into Selene. Yeah, it's very effective, and very, very fun for you, not so much for your opponent. One cross sheep for the Vortex play. You don't do it that much. It's usually your plan C, but it's just good to have a lot of contingency plans. 2 copies of Selene. Again, just in case you go to the Vortex play and you need them both. It's just very rare that you'll actually end up doing that. 1 copy of Appaloosa, and then 1 copy of Access Code Talker. Now, if you don't have Access Code Talker, you could use Boral Sword Dragon or Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion as your big one-shots. But I just happen to have one, thanks to Dylan, Quasar Man, thank you very much. 1 copy of Meteor Burst Dragon, just for the rare opportunity to synchro into a Synchro 7 and then bring out the Dragon Pit Magician and Xyz into the Absolute Dragon. You could substitute it out for the Dawn Dragster if you really wanted to, or any other Synchro 8, just so you'd have 2, because we don't run that many Synchros. 1 Borreload Savage Dragon. You could substitute this for Void Ogre Dragon or the Berserker Tenyi whatever Synchro 8, I forget what it's called, but that would be a very good substitute as well. Or even if you wanted to free up 2 spaces, the Void Ogre Dragon and then the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. All good substitutes. 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, essential if you want to use the artifact. And you do, trust me, you do. You want to lock Invoked out of their extra deck. It's wonderful. Shadal's as well. 1 Raider's Knight and 1 Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon for more KO potential. Just punching somebody for like 10,000 damage is amazing. I love doing it. Arc Rebellion quickly became one of my favorite cards. 1 copy of Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon for the Vortex play. 1 copy of Millennium Eyes Restrict for your instant fusion target. And then 1 copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. So now onto the side deck. Now I'm still figuring the side deck out, but first up, 3 copies of Mystic Mine, just in case they successfully get the Vanity's Ruler on you, bait out any negation, drop Mystic Mine, win the game. If they're going to be super lame and use bullshit like VFD on you and Vanity's Ruler and all this kind of like no skill, no fun nonsense, it's totally fair for you to do it right back to them. And when you do and they get salty, it's the most satisfying thing when they start cussing you out, because you're doing the exact same thing that they're doing to you. They just don't like it when it's being done to them. 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. This is essential in case the Drytron deck gets their Infinite Negate card, the protection of the Herald of Protection or something like that. I forget what it's called. But it's extremely unfair card. It is extremely good card. They essentially get infinite negates. The only thing they can't negate, however, is Dark Ruler No More. 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. This way, you'll be able to play through VFD. I don't use Infinite Impermanence because once I control a monster, it becomes useless. However, not so with this. It's also a way you can deal with Zeus if you have to. Not recommended way, but if he tries to use it on you, you can flip over the Forbidden Chalice. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, thanks to Mitch, who sent me one from Japan. Very cool. And then 3 Cosmic Cyclone. Now I'm still working on the last 2 cards, maybe a red reboot or something. I'm not sure, but these are the ones I'm very certain on and very happy with. It's proven invaluable. Siding is so important. So we will talk a little bit about some cards you will side out right now. So depending on your matchup and your metagame, you're going to want to side out the going second cards. Things like your extra copy of... I usually side out the Revolution Dragons going second because you're not going to be so normal summon dependent. Because you're not going to have to set up the Halk and stuff like that. Because they've already set up, and there's a good chance you're not going to be able to get to the Access Code Talker through their interruptions. You're going to side out the Scythe, usually the Revolution Dragon. Wisdom Eye Magicians can come out, and often the Double Iris Magician can come out going second. Yeah, that's primarily the stuff I like to take out, and the trap card. Time Pendulum Graph can come out going second. Unless you're playing a back row deck, then definitely leave it in, because this thing just sweeps back row decks. They hate it so much because it's removing 2 cards at a time usually. So definitely leave this in against back row decks. They hate this card. And remember, if you pair Dragon Pit Magician with the Time Pendulum Graph, you're taking out 3 back row every single turn. 2 of them before they even get the chance to use it. Then on your turn, you'll use the Dragon Pit and the Time Pendulum Graph, and now you've taken out 3 more. Even if they've set 5, you've cleared all 5 cards. Yeah. So these are, generally speaking, what I like to side out going second. Not so much the Dark Words themselves, but definitely take out the Revolution Dragon, take out 1 copy of Oath Dragon Magician, take out the Scythe, take out 1 Tuning Magician and double Iris Magician, and put in whatever you need for the matchup, be it the Mystic Minds, the Dark Ruler No Mores, whatever. If you guys would like a combo video for this, where I break down several combos, leave it in the comments below. Just even if it's just like combo video, anything, let me know in the comments below. Happy holidays, have a nice Christmas, or whatever it is that you celebrate. I really hope you're well, and we'll see you next time.